気分は最高だけどびっくり世界がどんどん
Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 35 of The Spy Who Loved Megaranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Denji Sentai Megaranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show and we share our thoughts with you, the listener. My name is Matt J. With me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, man. Doing pretty well. Just hanging out. Kind of tired,
Cool.
honestly, but chilling.
Yeah, we are in Cleveland this week, enjoying some beautiful weather. Although what I've realized is that we're at the time of year where it takes me about 3 days to remember that in my 30s I developed late seasonal allergies. And they kind of only kick in like right about now, and then like by the time I finally get around to going to the store to like pick something up for them, like they're basically gone.
Right.
But there's just like this 1 week of itchy eyes and sneezing.
Man, I'm sorry about that, man. I have this one other thing. I've been trying to like figure out a way to work it into the conversation. There's not like an easy transition into this, and it's so fast it's not even a star. But the twins have those like expandy, crawly kid tunnels. You know the ones I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those.
So, right. Like tons of kids have them. They're great. But what my kids have started doing is like they crawl into them and then stand up and then like walk around, like shuffle around with them with like one open end of the tube on the ground and then one end like up around their face like a hood. And the only thing I can, like they're just playing a dumb game, but the only thing I can ever think of is like God Emperor of Dune, Leo Atreides II. It's just tiny. I know he's not Shai Hulud, but like just like tiny sandworms, like sandworm human hybrids walking around my house. Anyways, it's a real trip.
You know what else is a real trip, Dave? Actually, this episode is not that trippy, but if it was, this would have been a great
that would have been, but it's a good episode.
It is.
It's a fun episode.
We are back in the pocket.
It's a fun episode, I will say.
It is episode 35. It's called Overcome, Mega Silver's Greatest Crisis. Written by Yasuko Kobayashi. Original air date, October 19th, 1997. And we're going to talk about it, Dave. But of course, before we get into that, we have our officially award-winning opening segment, Dave, Shining in the Heavens, there are 5 stars. Would you like to hear what our first star of the week is?
Yeah, Matt, you messaged me about it earlier today, and I have genuinely been burning with curiosity this whole time.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we have been enjoying some nice weather in Cleveland. And so earlier, it was either today or yesterday, I forget actually, I went outside in the afternoon to enjoy a cup of coffee on my front porch.
Love it.
You know, just to sort of soak it in for a little bit before I sat back down at my desk and went to work on a new thing. And as I was sitting out front, the street that I live on, there's a lot of like cars that park on the street all the time because I live in an apartment-heavy neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so nobody has garages. And so this car pulls up into a parking spot, windows rolled down. And just kind of blasting the last 15 seconds of Santeria by Sublime.
Okay.
And then, as soon as the song was over, he like pulled out of the parking spot that he had pulled into and drove away. And I don't know if he was just like dissatisfied with that parking spot and wanted to find a new one, but I really enjoyed it because A, this feels like a classic, like an old school style Super Sentai Brothers like 5 stars star of like observing a weird thing out in the world in a way that I've not been able to do in a long time.
Man, I forgot that used to be sort of like a regular bit. Remember Highway Pirates?
Yeah, dude. You would just like see a weird thing in the world and we talk about it. But now I don't see things anymore, except that I did. And it was this, and it was great. And the other great thing about it is that like 15 seconds is like the exact amount of time that I want to hear Santeria by Sublime, right? Like, you
not
hear it
right.
and you're like...
Not right at all. What are you talking about? That's a great song.
I feel like it kind of overstays its welcome. Like, I'm not always... Okay, here's what I'll say. I'm not always in the mood to listen to the full song Santeria by Sublime, but there's never a moment in which I hear 15 seconds of it and I'm not a little happy.
Man, listen, I fully understand the words that you're saying, and I can follow your thought process, but hard disagree. Hard disagree.
All right, well, I guess that's where we'll leave that. Dave, what is our second star of the week? Let me check our list here. Oh, the second star is another one of mine.
Yep.
Dave, today, March 23rd, as we record this, I got the first shot of the Pfizer vaccine.
Matt, that is fantastic.
I am thrilled to report it. I'm doing my best to stick the landing. I can see in the video that you are currently singing along to what I can only imagine is Santeria by Sublime. But I'm going to continue talking.
I'm mouthing
as
along,
though
Matt.
you're
I'm
listening to
bopping
me.
with that.
So Ohio, in a kind of confusing, poorly worded announcement yesterday, the governor was like, hey, I know we said that on March 29th, people 16 years old and older could get the vaccine, but today, if there are open appointments or like extra appointments and you can get them, just take them.
No, I think this is a great... Well, because I've been hearing a lot about this, where it's just like, there's doses around, and like, they have like a shelf life.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of inadvertently expiring before people can get them. Because, whatever. So I think it's just like, listen, just go for it. Just go for it. Just everybody,
right.
If you can get one. Just everybody sign up. Like, we're at the point where we have enough. Just go for it.
Yeah, and so I signed up, and what's funny is that, like, I have a lot of friends in the, like, under 40, not a teacher or medical healthcare worker, like, category. So, like, the last category of people to get it. Like,
yes.
I just know a lot of people in that category. And all of us were like, yeah, when it eventually becomes available, we will hop on that as quickly as we can. We've been saying this for like months. We're like, we know we're last in line, but as soon as we can get it, we'll look forward to that. And like within 12 hours of that announcement, like half of those people had either already gotten the shot or like signed up for getting one the next day. Like,
dude, I love
just,
it.
Like jumped on it immediately, like with a force and effectiveness that I genuinely did not anticipate out of that group of people.
I am stoked. I think Ohio's actually been doing a fantastic job of the vaccine rollout. So
yeah, it's kind of started in like there was a hitch in the middle where it seemed not to be going anywhere for a while, but once they got over that hump, like everything seems to be going good, which is great.
Yeah.
Thrilled about that. But then I was out for a walk afterwards because I took the whole morning off. So I get home, I have some leftover pizza for lunch.
Love it.
I go for like a nice walk up to the lake to sort of like enjoy the afternoon before I sit down and do some work. And overhead, I see this like enormous hawk just like circling like up in the trees above me.
Okay.
Like while I'm on the walk. Yeah, you see, like it's right up by Lake Erie. Like there's a park there. You see cool birds sometimes. But I did have this brief moment of like, I have stayed inside and safe from this terrible plague for a full calendar year plus. It would be genuinely hilarious if on the day I got the vaccine, I was just murdered by a hawk. Like completely unrelated. I did everything right. I get the vaccine, and then like Alanis Morissette style irony, just like a hawk dives out of the sky and gets me.
Okay.
Glad it didn't happen, obviously, but
so
there
Matt,
would have been
I just want
to
let you know, I did a quick search to say how many people the hawks kill, and the first article that came up is from 2018. It said hawk attack advice: keep your eyes to the skies. And then it said, it's actually extremely rare. Like, hawks do not attack people. You're fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, it didn't attack me today, and that's good. Because you know how sometimes you see a bird, and you're like, if it came down to it, I could take that bird. I don't know if you ever think this, but if you just see, like, birds out in the wild, you're like, if that bird attacked me, like, could I beat it or could I not? And the answer for many birds is, yeah, sure.
Listen,
I'm
familiar with the train of thought, man. I don't know that I have that specific thought. I follow you. But a hawk?
Well, you know, some hawks aren't big. And, you know, like...
But even the small ones, Matt.
Anyway, there would be no question with this one. If this one put its mind to it and I couldn't, like, get under something, this was a large creature.
I think, okay, Matt, I'm going to be honest. I think it would be, a question of nerves, first of all. And then also, I think it would really just, you would probably win, but you would definitely not come out of it. You would be extremely scathed, is what I'm saying.
Extremely scathed.
It's just so, extraordinarily scathed. But I think ultimately you would probably be victorious.
Yeah, I mean, if I can get a hold of it. That's always the question.
It's the thumbs. You got opposable thumbs, man.
Yeah.
Of course, a hawk also sort of has opposable thumbs, and its thumb has a giant, such a large talon.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't be a fun afternoon for me. It would certainly put a damper on my otherwise cool day. Dave, what is our third star of the week?
So our third star of the week, Matt, we were just having a chat about it, and I thought it was fun and interesting. I'm still playing Cyberpunk 2077, having a blast, and I can recommend... So I'm kind of doing a totally different playthrough now, and I am really genuinely impressed at the degree to which the game feels very, very different.
You know, I'm doing the same thing, and I have, I think maybe to a lesser degree because I'm not as far into my replay. But yeah, I have noticed that as well. You know, the thing that really surprises me is that I feel like something that was a common criticism of the game. I mean, there were a lot of criticisms of the game, and rightly so. It was a deeply broken game when it was released. But one of the criticisms of it was that, you know, you can pick one of the three backgrounds, like Corpo, Street Kid, or Nomad. And they're like, well, you have like this like brief opening mission that's different with all three of those, but then otherwise it has no effect on the course of the game. And the thing that I've discovered is that like that's true in a story sense, but it is not true in like a character flavor sense, because throughout the game there are always options. There are like pretty regularly dialogue options that you only get if you come from that particular background. Yeah. And I would normally pick those options.
Yeah, just there's that. You know. Oh, yeah, always. There's like a bunch of options that you only get if you have like attributes that are at certain levels. There's a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, so the missions themselves aren't any different, but like the conversations that you have throughout the missions and like the way in which your character seems to be processing the world around them is like noticeably different in a way that I am finding very refreshing.
Yeah, well, and now I can tell you, Matt, because I am a little bit further into my second run, I think, than you are, and you just have to, like, you just got to give it a little bit for everything to kind of, like, come online, for, like, the differences, because the early on in the game, it's just like, all right, man, just, like, get a pistol or a machine gun, and you're just going to, like, run in and, like, try to shoot the guys, and it's, like, do your best, and it's all going to kind of look the same. And then, you know, obviously, well, it's like every game. It's like every game, right? Like, the first 5 levels of every single D&D game are always, like, kind of the exact same. Because, like, there's only so many ways that you can build, like, a first-level fighter, you know, like... Just like a first-level fighter is going to be a first-level fighter. Like, if you're a first-level wizard, you're going to have, like, 3 cantrips and, like, 2 spells. And it's, you know, like, it's always going to kind of look the same. And then, you know, by the time you hit, like, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you've picked some different stuff and you have your individual equipment or, like, whatever it is. And then it really starts to differentiate.
Right.
So, anyways, I'm still having a blast with it. I guess there's a new patch that's supposed to be coming out, which is fixing driving, which is awesome because the driving in that game is terrible. I never drive cars.
The driving in that game is so bad that like there is an entire side quest thread of like doing street races, and I got like halfway through the first one and quit and never did another one.
I did beat it just to do it. If you have bikes, the bikes are fine, but the cars were terrible. Anyways, having a blast, looking forward to more stuff for it coming out. What, Matt, It's our 4th star of the week.
First star of the week is another video game thing, Dave, is that I have, after it's taken some time off from it, I have picked back up Animal Crossing. It's the 1-year anniversary of the game coming out, and the game sort of changes seasonally. The game exists in real time.
Right, because it's in real time. And
yeah. And so now that spring has sprung, I'm like, oh, I'll hop back into the game and sort of, see how things are going, see what's new, see how all my little friends are doing. And also take the opportunity to really kind of take the island down to studs and sort of rebuild it from scratch, move all the buildings around.
That's a real mood for you these days, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing is right now, and I think we'll talk about this in a minute. Right now, my brain is kind of in home renovation mode, but I have contractors who are in the house a lot.
Right.
So I can't just roll in and do stuff myself because it's an active work zone. And although it's my house, it is their active work zone. So
no, Matt, I have, depending on how you feel about being in a home renovation mindset, I have good or bad news for you. You will never stop now. This is just where you live now. Heads up.
Well, I'm hoping that if I do enough home renovation stuff all at the beginning, I can kind of get a head start on you know what I mean? Sort of get out ahead of it.
Yeah. You're cutting yourself an extra long wick. That's for sure, Matt. I just need you to be aware. I would feel irresponsible as your loving brother if I didn't tell you this. You cut yourself an extra long wick, but it is burning. It is burning. This is just...
Well, I would thank you for telling me that, but I'm not grateful. Anyway, what's really fun about Animal Crossing right now, though, is that Katie, our sister, has recently picked it up. And she is sort of getting into the game for the first time now. And what is fun about that is that I have not seen... I've talked to Katie on the phone, but, I haven't, seen Katie or, hung out with her in a calendar year.
Yeah.
Because of pandemic-related reasons. But in Animal Crossing, you can go visit your friends and go to their island and run around and see what they're doing and see their little customized villager that looks like a cartoon version of them and wave to them. And it's really nice. It's just very pleasant.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds great. I love it.
Yeah. Anyway, Dave, what is our 5th and last star of the week?
So it's in a weird spot, Matt, but our 5th star of the week, it's a house update.
So you got a house update this week.
Well, yeah, I have a house update, and here's what it is, Matt. So the other day, I noticed there was a little water on my floor right by my sink. It's as I was going to bed, I was like, oh, that's weird. Must have just dripped off of something or what have you. No problem. You can tell where this story is maybe going. I wipe the water up. I wake up in the morning. There's maybe a cup and a half of water on my floor. Maybe 2 cups. Okay. Which is not a ton, except I have wood floors. And the water, it wasn't spilled. There's just a very slow leak from the pipe, I think, underneath my sink. And it had just been so now this water got into the subfloor under my kitchen and it has bucked up the boards. It has swelled. And once it has done that, that's kind of it. There's not and I had occasion to again consider the hubris of not indoor kind of indoor plumbing, but the hubris of indoor plumbing. Of just having you know what? I'm just going to run a bunch of pipes through my walls, and I'm going to put water in them, which will destroy my house if it gets out of these pipes. And then I'm just going to push that. I'm going to put enough pressure that it will push that water up 30 and 35 feet up into my attic. and I'm just going to live. That's just where I'm going to live. Like, that's going to be fine, and I'm just going to have that. I would say we're playing with fire, but it's literally the exact opposite.
It's the opposite, yeah.
Yeah, but also very bad. So anyways, long story short, now I'm like vaguely considering a kitchen renovation.
Okay.
Well, because here's the thing with the kitchen. The kitchen is like, because there's cabinets in it, it's like an extremely integrated room, right?
Right. So, like, if you have to start taking part of it apart, like, it kind of makes sense to use that as an opportunity to do other stuff.
Right. Like, if I'm going to take the floor up, the only way to get the floor up, all the way up, if I got to replace the floor, is I got to get the cabinets up. Well, then once the cabinets are up, do I just want to get new cabinets? Like, they're already up, And if I'm going to move the cabinets and the floor's already up, do I just want to move, like, do I want to relocate the stove? Right? Because, like, it's all, like, there's so many bits and bobs. So this would not be like the dream kitchen renovation. But my kitchen is large, like, as far as footprint goes, but it's very poorly laid out.
That is true. And it's
like
not, like, okay, let me try to, it's not poorly, like, your layout is good. It's like, the only way I can think to describe this is weird and wrong, but I think you'll get what I mean, is that the software of your kitchen is good, but the hardware of your kitchen is bad. Like, you have programmed it properly,
that's exactly
but you have, like, system limitations that you want to upgrade. Like, you just need to get some more RAM in there.
Yeah, precisely. So I don't know if anything's going to come of this. I was looking at some kitchen cabinet builds, and I was like, and the guy was just like, listen, building kitchen cabinets, like, at least the basic version of this, is not actually super hard. And if you have, like, a circular saw and, like, a couple of other things, like, you're probably good. And if you have these other 3 things, you're, like, really good shape. And I was like, I have those other 3 things. That's great. So, and then Beth was like,
if you want to practice and you just come over to my house, because I don't have any cabinets right now, if you just sort of want to, like, build me a series of cabinets, then you'll sort of get it figured out, and then you can go back to your house with the skills and experience you've gotten and build your own.
Matt, I may just take you up on that, actually. We'll see. So anyways, I'm vaguely considering this thing. We'll see what comes of it. But that's it. That's my house update. Just, water, right?
Yeah,
like, you need it.
Yeah.
You got to have it.
Also electricity. You put water and electricity in the same walls, and also water and electricity don't go together.
Yeah, not at all. Man, not at all. If, like, Hydro Man and Electro have taught me one thing.
Yeah. Man, speaking of electricity, I am having, like, I mentioned last week that I'm having, like, all of the wiring redone in my house.
Yes. Yeah.
So I stopped by, the new place is, like, less than a mile from where I currently live. So, like, not every day, but often I'll just, like, walk over there after work and see how things have been coming along. Like, as the contractors have been in there.
Yeah, for sure.
And I went in there today, and, like, they have not, like, torn out all the old wiring yet, but they have sort of, like, started just rerunning some stuff. And I'm like, oh, like, this switch works now, and it turns on that light. Okay. And then so now I'm just, like, trying to figure out, like, these previously inoperable switches and, like, light fixtures that didn't work. Like, okay, these work now, but, like, the light, when you walk in the front door, there's, like, a hanging light, but the only switch that seems to affect that light is, like, on the second floor down the hall from the stairs.
That seems like the sort of thing, if you're rewiring the house anyways, that, like, maybe you could get them to take a look at.
I shot him a text message, yeah. Anyway, that's my end of the house update. Dave, we are going to take a break. We are going to watch episode 35 of Denji Sentai Megaranger. Once again, it is titled Overcome, Mega Silver's Greatest Crisis. It's all about Mega Silver. I love that guy. Anyway, we're going to talk about it when we come right back. Okay, welcome back. Episode 35, Overcome, Mega Silver's Greatest Crisis. At this point in the episode, I've said the title 3 times. I do it every week, and every week I think, that's overkill. I should figure out which one of those to remove, and then I never do. Anyway, Dave, what'd you think?
So it was a good episode. I dug it, obviously. For what is obviously a full-length episode, there wasn't like a lot of plot in this one. In a weird sort of way.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like,
really, I guess what I'm just saying is I'm looking at my notes, and my notes are like remarkably short.
Yeah, I feel like this episode exists because the writers wanted to like deal with a particular hanging thread. And then they're just okay, how do we deal with this? And they just wrote an episode.
So here's what this episode opens up. We're out in nature, and there's this like cool energy scythe thing, and it's a mantis Nazare, and he swings his energy scythe, and he shoots a sonic boom, like from Guile, except it's green, and it's like slicey. And he's like, ha ha ha. And we're like, okay, cool. That's the guy for the...
Yeah, and he has a scythe that shoots cut lasers. He refers to it as a sickle, which I hate because it's not.
It did make me very upset that he called it
Thankfully,
that.
he does not like call it by name too many times in the episode, but it was maddening. That's probably just a translation error, frankly.
Yeah, so we go from there up to the moon. And Koichiro is in like a CAT scan. And we're like, what's going on? And it's like, and then they explain very quickly it's because of the mega suits. And Dr. Kubota explains, Kenta's like, why do we have to do this? And Dr. Kubota's like, listen, this is still, like, we tested it a bunch, obviously, but this is still, in many ways, like, fairly nascent technology. And so if you use a mega suit, we just need to get you, like, checked out and make sure that it's still operating and, like, everybody's cool.
Yeah, so they just got, like, regular physicals. Dr. Kubota looks around and he's like, wait a second, where is Yusaku? Like, he's the other one of you guys. We also need to be checking him out.
Now, it should be noted real quickly that as soon as he says that, Miku in particular, and also Kenta, is just like, wait, so you finally admitted he's in the club. Like, this is great. And he's like, Dr. Kubota's like, yeah, well, he finished his moon project, and he never listens to anything I say anyways, and he did link himself up to the Mega Silver suit already, so, like... Yes, he's in the club. Like
this is less about Dr. Kubota being on board with the idea of Mega Silver and more him just like acknowledging the reality of the situation that he's in and kind of being browbeaten into it.
Yeah.
So he says like, listen, Kenta, just go find Dr. Hayakawa, aka Yusuke, and like because the thing is that Dr. Kubota never refers to him by his first name. He only ever calls him by his family name. But I don't like switching back and forth while we're doing the episode. But every time I talk about Dr. Kubota referring to Mega Silver in his human guise, I never know which name to say. So I just stick with Yusuke and feel weird about it. Oh, that wasn't going anywhere.
I was going to say, I don't have a way to come back from that, man. You really got out in the weeds on that one. On this Hayakawa surname thing.
Miku follows because they needed to have more than one person be part of this plot. And they find him, and he is having a different appointment with a different doctor, like 2 hallways over.
Yeah. So they sort of like, they overhear him as they're approaching the door. He's talking with this doctor. And the doctor says, listen, I'm really sorry. The results are bad. There's nothing that can... Hayakawa's like, isn't there anything we can do? And he says, listen, the doctor says, he's like, listen, man, there are limits to medical science. I'm really sorry. There's nothing I can do about it. So immediately, my very first thought, this is what my notes say, please, please, please be about something super dumb. This was my desperate hope, was that it was about him losing his hair.
Oh, that would have been funny.
It would have been so good. Because first of all, it should be said, Dr. Kubota is bald. Dr. Hayakawa is A, much younger, and B, has a great head of hair. And if this whole thing had been about, because it's It's very clearly not about him actually dying.
Right. But of course, Kenta and Miku immediately believe that it is.
Yeah, yes, of course, like obviously. It's not about his hair. I'm very, very disappointed to report, but that would have been really amazing.
So he goes back and forth with the doctor. The doctor says, like, listen, you should just focus on, like, doing the best with the time you have, all that stuff. The stuff that is, like, vague and can be translated the wrong way.
Right.
Yusuke's going to, like, leave the exam room. The other two scatter, but, like, Miku doesn't quite get far enough away because when he walks out, he sees her there. And she says, like, oh my gosh, I was listening. I heard everything. I'm so sorry. Like, are you okay? And they have a conversation that, again, never specifically says, I think that you are dying, and him agreeing, like, oh, yes, I am definitely dying.
Yeah.
They just are
say,
both
like,
referring to a problem and the fact that, like, he's doing his best to deal with it.
Yeah, he's like, I haven't given up, but please don't. And again, this could still totally be about losing your hair.
100%.
Yeah, and so he's like, I haven't given up, but, like, please don't tell anybody. I don't want anybody to know. And they're like, we promise. But they're both very sad. And then he leaves, and they turn to each other like, I can't believe it. Like, what can we do? Like, what are we going to do? Our dear friend and, like, cool bro, Dr. Hayakawa, is dying. What are we going to do?
Yeah. And they're speculating, like, man, maybe this is why he hasn't been coming back to Earth to, like, help us as much recently, because...
Oh, they did mention that earlier.
Like, yeah. Like, his body just can't handle it. He's kind of, he's slowing down.
Because he's so ancient and decrepit. The ripe old age of, like, what is he supposed to be, like 29?
So as they're agonizing over this, an alarm goes off, and Mantis Nezare is attacking the Earth again. He's just sort of, like, swinging lasers around. He's not doing anything special, but they got to go deal with him.
Yeah.
Nezalar. Mantis Nezalar. Sorry, I'm still getting used to that.
So we flip up to the moon real quick. Kubota runs into Hayakawa. He sees that Hayakawa has a folder, and he's like, what's going on with you, man? And he's like,
why aren't you rushing to Earth to fight the monster that's currently attacking our beloved planet?
He's like, I will. I'm gonna go down right now. And he's like, something's up. He's like, no, nothing's up. Something's up. He's like, it's nothing. Leave me alone. And then they leave. So we pop down. We get a quick fight. And the thing about Mantis Nezalar is that he's very hard to beat because he's got those compound eyes, and he can sort of see in every direction, and so he can keep track of all of them at once.
And he's especially quick. And so, like, not only can he see in all directions, but he can, like, respond on that information in such a way to, like, basically keep anybody from being able to approach him.
Yes.
And that's a problem. And they're having a bad time fighting him, but then up comes Kenta. Not Kenta, Yusuke. Kenta's also there, but that was implied with the earlier conversation.
Yeah. So he shows up. He henshins. But he's not doing great. And, like, they can sort of tell. They're like, dude, you look kind of rough, like. And then Kenta and Miku specifically are like, dude, chill out, like, we will handle this, like, it's okay, don't strain yourself.
Right. He's like, no, like, I must do it. I only have, like, 30 seconds left, like, I've got to make the use of this time. And he, like, charges in, and he does manage to score some really solid hits on Mantis Nezalar. He, like, blows him up, but just in the sort of way that Mantis Nezalar, like, needs to leave now, not in the way that he's actually destroyed. Yeah. But before he leaves, Mantis Nezalar is like, listen, I'm going to go, but I think I know your weakness. And the next next time we fight, it's going to go bad for you. So see you soon, bud. And then he leaves.
So Kenta and Miku, super, super duper worried. We flip back to the Nezalar dimension, and they're kind of browbeating. I was about to say Psycho Mantis, but no. That was a really lost opportunity. Had Metal Gear Solid come out at this point? Probably not. 97?
Ooh, it was right around here.
Anyway, so they are berating him. They're like, what's going on? And you ran away, and why did you do all of this stuff? And 1998. Anyways, like, what's going on? And he says, listen, this was a tactical retreat because I figured out that Mega Silver's only got 2.5 minutes. So...
Okay. Dave, I don't think he actually tells them what the weakness is. I think he just says, like, I have the weakness.
Oh,
and
you're right.
Next time I'm totally going to win.
No.
But I think he's, like,
totally
keeping
right.
that in his back pocket because he wants to, I don't know, he wants to impress his boss.
From there, we head down to the Digital Research Club. And Kenta and Miku are asking some very weird questions. They're saying, listen, Chisato, fellow high school student. I don't know why you wouldn't find, like, an adult, but whatever. If someone you really cared about was about to die, and you knew, what would you do? And she says, well, you got to make memories. Like, you have to make memories with this person. This is the most important thing. Kuichi rolls up.
Yeah, Kuichi is like, listen, memories are good, but the most important thing is for, like, that person to feel loved. Like, loved by, like, friends and family. Like, make sure that when they pass, like, they know that they are loved.
Now, I'm going to take Shun's advice on this one, because Shun, I think, is the only one that determinedly has a dead family member, because we know his mom is dead. And he says, no, those things are good, but the really important thing is that you make their dreams come true as much as possible before they die. And then we get into, like, a little round robin about, like, which person is the more important. But Kenta and Miku, for maybe the first time in their lives, Kenta definitely, have taken a bunch of notes on this. They're like, okay, we got it. Love, memories, dreams come true. If someone's dying, this is the best thing you can do. Like, let's go make it happen.
You know what would be interesting is to go back and watch that episode where they all got poisoned and they thought they were all about to die. And see if those things line... Like, I remember in that episode, Shun was like, okay, well, I need to achieve my dream. I have today to do it. I'm going to put together a, like, gallery showing of my computer art. And he ended up being dissatisfied by it. But, like, in the moment, that's what he was interested in. And that is what he's talking about now. Now, I don't actually remember what the other two did. I think Koichiro was just, like, trying to solve the problem, actually.
Yeah, because that's what he loves to do, Matt.
That's true.
So we go up, back to the moon, and we see Yusaku. He's in his lab. He's examining the Mega Silver suit. And Kenta and Miku roll in, and they have brought a whole dinner. There appears
it's
to
not
be
like a
some
room
form of,
service, like, rolly cart.
Yeah, there appears to be some sort of alcohol. I don't know where they acquired that. And they're like, hey, we brought you this amazing, delicious dinner, which makes sense. Yusaku is a foodie. We determined this already. Kenta says it's super healthy. It's very good for you. Organic vegetables from my garden. Or, like, the family store, rather. And they're like, and so he's like, cool, guys, thanks, I guess. And he starts to sit down to eat. And then they turn to each other, and in, like, a stage whisper, they're like, oh, we have to make memories. Get the picture. And they go and set up a whole tripod.
Yeah, they
have, like,
take a selfie 1997 style, which is they set up a tripod with a camera with a timer.
And they're like, oh, yeah, love. And then Miku turns to him, and she's like, Yusaku, do you have a girlfriend? And I can see the terror on Yusaku's face when he hears Miku ask him this. There's, like, this brief moment where he's like, oh no, this high school girl is about to ask me if she can be my girlfriend. This is not what happens. He's like, I did.
Miku wants to know if he has a girlfriend because she wants to know if he is currently in a state in his life where he is feeling loved.
Yes. And he's like, oh no, like, we broke up a few years ago. And she's like, do you have any family? Like anything? And he's, at this point, completely nonplussed. He has no idea what's happening. And Kenta's like, will you be my big brother? And he's like, man, yeah, sure, Kenta, I guess. Like,
and Miku hops in and says, like, yes, consider us to be your family or loved ones.
I love her phrasing of it. So he's like, listen, guys, this is very nice, but I do have stuff that I literally was in the middle of a thing. So rain check, guys, like for sure, rain check. Could we please chill out, though?
Yes, you should do your work. You should achieve the dream of doing your work. And then they don't leave the room. They just stand like a few feet away from him and like applaud and cheer as he types things into a computer.
And then they both start to cry. And Miku pulls out like a charm of protection. And then they get a Nezular alert. Yusuke is stoked. He's like, this is awesome timing. Like, this is fantastic. And they're like, no, it's terrible timing. You stay here and protect yourself. And then they just grab him and shove him in a closet and drag a desk in front of it. He has no idea what's happening. They're out. And then we get down to Earth.
Yeah. On Earth, a fight is happening. You know, Kenta and Miku arrive. It's not going great. They aren't able to turn the tide because, of course, the problem they were having before is still happening with them just not really being able to get a hit in on this guy.
Yep.
Up on the moon, Yusuke is able to, like, shove the door open. You know, like, get the desk out of the way, shove the door open. And he's like, what the heck was going on with those guys? And then he sees the little, like, protection charm. And what it is, and this is not something I have any sort of, like, cultural understanding of, so I'm just going to sort of describe what it is. It's like this little envelope that has, like, a written down wish inside of it. And he opens it up, and he sees what she's written down, which is, like, please help my friend Yusuke, like, you know, with his great illness.
Yeah.
And then he puts it together. He's like, oh, they misunderstood the thing before. They think I'm sick. Like, okay, I get it. He, like, smiles. He's like, okay, like, now we're going to go and deal with this situation.
So he pumps down. And now he's in the mix. And so they're fighting. And Mantis, as soon as he sees him, starts a timer that he has had cybernetically installed in his shoulder.
Sure.
Right on. I guess it's an option if you're a Psycho Mantis Nezular. And so Yusuke, like, jumps in. He starts fighting Mantis Nezular. The other Rangers are about to jump in, but the Kune arrive, and they are keeping the other Rangers busy. And Mantis Nezular is basically just trying to run out the clock.
Yeah. He's like, you know, instead of facing Mega Silver, he's like dodging out of the way. And then, from out of the shadows, he has turned his scythe into like a boomerang. And that boomerang is also like a thing that can wrap around Mega Silver. And also, it has a time bomb on it. And he's like, listen, I have you now wrapped up in my scythe time bomb handcuff restraint. And here's what's going to happen. Is in 1 minute you're gonna stop being Mega Silver because I have figured out, I've like run back and like watched the game footage of all of your appearances, and I know that it lasts only 2.5 minutes, and so in 1 minute and 1 second after you have transformed back into a guy, that thing's gonna blow up and you're gonna die because it's just gonna be your stupid human body and not your strong Mega Silver body. So see you never. Peace out. Goodbye.
Which, let me just say, I love this plan.
Super good.
I am it's a very good plan. I'm super duper into it. I really like Mantis Nezular here. So the other Rangers see this drama and they're like, we'll save you. And he's like, no, stay back. And they're like, no, we need to save you. And he's like, no, stay back.
This goes on longer than you think it would.
This goes, just way longer than you would think it does. Now there is I'm gonna circle back to this in a mo. So basically, the thing explodes. We don't see Mega Silver. He's like, ha ha ha, I've killed Mega Silver. And then Mega Silver shows up. Hooray. And they're all blown away. And they're like, how is this possible?
And
he
also,
says,
Mega Silver's suit is different.
Is it? I did not notice.
Oh, the line of squares that go like horizontally across the chest previously had been like this sort of like green wire outline thing. Mm-hmm. And now they're like solid black. Like he has upgraded the suit. It is no longer the prototype suit. This is now like a full Mega Silver suit, apparently.
That's pretty dope. I had totally missed that. Wow.
It's
so
not
anyways,
super obvious.
So he grabs like the razor boomerang and he throws it back at Mantis Nezalar, which is great and always makes me think of the Juggernaut video where they dubbed over the thing. Whenever somebody does that, the only line I just think of the line like "hit you with your own pimp," and it's funny and I laugh.
Wow, that is old internet right there.
It sure is. That's some classic internet right there, man. Anyway, so Yusuke's and then there's like, he goes giant and then they summon Mega Voyager and then they kill him.
Yeah, like at this point, the episode goes the way that these episodes go.
Yeah, so Yusuke, of course, is completely fine. They're down in the Digital Research Club. And
he like shows them his folder of medical results. Like, see, I have a clean bill of health. I am fine.
Like, everything's cool. They're like, well, what was going on? He's just like, I just didn't want you to tell anybody because I was worried about getting everybody's hopes up if I wasn't able to solve the time limit problem with the suit. Like, I was just kind of playing it close to my vest. And Miku and Kenta are like, Kenta's like, I knew it. I was just going along with Miku. And Miku's like, no, you were definitely crying. You were crying. I was crying. We were both crying. Yusuke is touched appropriately.
Yeah.
And and then we see Dr. Kubota on like the video on the telecall, and he's like, Hayakawa, why are you always hiding things from me? Like, why didn't you just tell me what you were working on? I am your boss.
Right, like, what else are you hiding? And Yusuke was like, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm not hiding anything. And everyone is like, that is obviously not true. And
which
then,
I think is,
I'm
excited about.
Yeah, as the episode is ending, in like the, see you next week moment, it just has like a picture of a spaceship we've never seen before that is clearly of Megaranger design. You're
Yeah.
like, I guess he's building another spaceship on the moon and didn't tell anybody.
I love it.
I don't know how he got the budget approved if Dr. Kubota doesn't know about it, but I guess we'll find out next week or later than that.
Yeah, I feel like Dr. Hayakawa seems to have like a pretty discretionary budget.
Yeah. I mean, he does good work, Dave. Okay, so that's the end of the episode, but it is, of course, not the end of our episode, because first, we need to determine where Mantis Nezalar lands in the Creature Royale.
Okay. I like this dude. I feel like he has a cool plan. I like that he is like very focused, right? Like, this is not a destroy the Earth plan. This is not even a destroy the Rangers plan. This is like, I'm going to get Mega Silver.
Right. I'm going to murder that guy, and I have a good plan for how to do it. And he does have a good plan for how to do it, and he looks cool.
He looks very cool.
I mean, listen, he kind of looks like Scyther the Pokemon, but Scyther looks cool, so he's cool.
Yeah, I was going to say Scyther is like he's got like giant blades. Well, he has scythe hands. I was going to say blade hands, but they are very specifically scythes. Yeah, so I got no problem with that. So I am... Okay, so he's not Pig Nezare.
No.
But he's like right in like Toad B Psycho Lion Nezare in my mind. I'm really struck by it. I think it's really cool that he has a very specific plan. Like, I'm going to take out this one dude.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we've ever seen before. Of like, we've seen plans where it ends up like, impacting one ranger more than another ranger, for example. But I don't ever recall seeing a plan where like, I'm going to take out. There was one in O Ranger where they specifically target Mega Pink or O Pink.
Oh, yeah.
With like a weird Napoleonic hallucinating time traveler?
Yeah, obviously.
I think that
that's
was
just
a
one of
Ranger.
those classic stories. Here's the thing, though, is as I was remembering that episode where they all got poisoned and thought they were going to die, I remember that Poison Moth Nezare is really good.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's right. Poison Moth Nezare is really, really good.
So, like,
And Cicada Nezare actually is also really good.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
What about Termite Nezare?
Okay, I think he's cooler than Termite Nezare.
Just to be certain, I'm going to look up a picture of Termite Nezare so that I remember who that is and what they could do. Oh, Termite Nezare was like a swarm of termites that was like eating up the city and making buildings collapse.
Ooh, that is cool, but
it's also pretty cool.
Okay, here's the thing. That is cool, but it's a cool take on a plan we've seen a bunch of times before. So I'm going to say I like Mantis Nezalar better than Termite Nezare. I think arguably better than Cicada Nezare, but below Poison Moth Nezare.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that.
All right, so he comes in at the new.
A lot of bugs
spot
all in a
number
row
9.
right there.
Yeah, that is a lot of bugs right in a row, isn't it? Actually, a lot of bugs in general, because we have an antlion, a bee, a moth, a mantis, a cicada, a termite, a shrimp, which is basically a bug that lives in the ocean. Yeah, a lot of bugs.
And then Scorpion, right down at the bottom. Scorpion Nezare, the non-monster.
Oh yeah,
which
not an insect, still definitely a bug.
Oh sure, for sure. Okay, so that then, Dave, unless I've forgotten any important details, is going to do it for this episode of The Spy Who Loved Megaranger. And that, Dave, unless I have forgotten any major details, is going to do it for this episode of The Spy Who Loved Megaranger. Before we finish up here, I'd just like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. If you want to get any updates on future episodes or check out the things that we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, and I hope that you do, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. If you'd like to rate and review on there, that would be swell of you. The Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. If you'd like to listen to any of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can find them all at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.
Mega Denji Sentai